And hello once more, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to episode 54 of A Druid's Dozen. Yeah, my name's John, known in certain circles as the Rock Druid. I'm a bit of a radio DJ. You know this already if you've watched before, but if you haven't, I've got the I do the Sunday Rock Show on BCFM Radio 93.2 FM in the Bristol in the UK, and I do the Rock Druid Show on astroradio.earth, a international music and science station. And basically this was something I started out last summer in lockdown, and it seems to have kind of a bug that's bitten me, and got a very, with a few small watchers that kind of I raid my record collection, I'll wave some albums in front of you, I chat about them for a bit, and occasionally, like this week, I drop in a new or pre-release when I get promo stuff through. So without further ado, should we pass straight in? And well, this week we're going to kick off with a bit of classic British thrash metal. Here we are. This is from 1990. This is Toranaga and God's Gift. There is the front. There is the back. Slide this out. There's lyrics and credits. Flip it around this side. The obligatory photo montage with fan club address. Featherstone, West Yorkshire. Join the Bastard Squad. Now, Toranaga, one of the first wave of British thrash bands, along with bands like Onslaught and Acid Rain, etc. Some of the first British bands to embrace the old thrash metal West Coast sound movement. And this album came out of Chrysalis Records in 1990. Was Toranaga's second album. And it's first one being Bastard Ballads about 2 years earlier, which sadly I haven't got, but I do possess this one. Pretty damn good record if you ask me. One of my more listened to British thrash albums. I do listen to a fair bit of it, but this is one I want to go back to. Maybe not as impactful, ground shattering, or just downright brilliant as The False by Onslaught. This is still a pretty good record. Four-piece band, really kind of like giving it some grief. A guy called Kev Ridley does a great production work on it. My favourite cut on here is the closing track on side one, Hammer to the Skull. It's got a lyric that goes, "You come at me like a pounding hammer to the skull," and that sums up the riff perfectly. It is a pounding, grinding, just kind of intense riff that just kind of bludgeons. Other highlights: Food for the Gods, Black is the Mask, Sword of Damocles, the out and out neck breaker of Psychotic. It's just a damn good record. As to Toranaga's state at the moment, I'm not sure. They're one of these bands that kind of reform, and then when you go to check back on them, they've gone again. Or that's how I interpret it. But so I can't tell you whether Toranaga's still together. I can tell you that I have seen this album both on CD and is available for download, so people that like more modern formats might be able to still pick it up without having to go to the original vinyl. But yeah, overall a pretty worthy addition to any metalhead record collection. Toranaga, Hammer to the Skull, 1990. Okay, next up we got a new addition to my record collection. and not a band I normally pay that much attention to. But I got this, and you'll see why I picked this up first of all in a second. It's this. This is Psycho Circus by Kiss from when will this one come out? 1998. And if I hold it like that, then just move it very slightly. It's got one of those stereogrammic, I think they're called. Correct me if I'm wrong, but covers that I used to have these as stickers as a kid. You know, you kind of, that's it goes that way. That, you know, you look at them from one way and it's a mouse, and the next thing it's a rat or something. Yeah. But anyway, I saw that in the charity shop and I thought, well, it's a Kiss album. It's got a really cool cover, and I can sit here for hours doing this. And you know, it was £1 for a charity, so I can't remember. This was the Catholics old aged relief shop or something like that. Anyway, I thought I'm not going to let that one slip me past. Yeah. One more. Yeah. Okay. There is the front. There is the back. If I pull this out, it does it on that as well. Yeah. Really clever lad had done this. I'll show you in a second. There is the front cover, and it's got about 3 different images, or 2 different images, sorry, printed in tiny horizontal strips down there. And the cover of here is corrugated with corresponding little peaks and troughs in the CD in the plastic. So as you rock it, it does the change bit. Anyway, rest of the booklet in here. Actually, it's not a booklet, is it? It's a fold out thing. There. Yeah, that's it. And there. Lyrics, etc. Minimal album notes on this. And in case you're interested, there is the disc. Now, I'll be honest with you, I am not a massive Kiss fan. Not knocking that, you know, if you like Kiss, then good luck to you. I'm not going to knock the band. It's just they've never been a band that's really spoken to me. I find them entertaining. And they've done some songs that I think are absolutely brilliant. Songs like a track called Creatures of the Night, I think, which is a cracking song. Rock and Roll All Night, Party Every Day. You know, absolute built-in track that, if you know, when I've done sort of like live club type DJ sets, drop that one in, it's a guaranteed floor filler. However, they've also done songs like Beth and I Was Made for Loving You, which make me cringe. And you know, and I'm yet to hear a Kiss album all the way through that doesn't make me wince at some point. This one doesn't exactly make me wince. And it has its moments. So to me, I'll rate this as one of the better Kiss albums. Although I only possess about 2 or 3, including this, in my entire collection. Well, I've heard a fair few others though. I had a mate who was a huge Kiss fan. That's all we ever played around at his place. But anyway, um, it's not bad. It's entertaining. It's got one, in my opinion, very good standout track. I Pledge Allegiance to the State of Rock and Roll. Absolute banger of a cut. Other points, You Wanted the Best, Raise Your Glasses, Journey of 1,000 Years. They're competent, they're good, kind of, you know, metal-y kind of hard rock numbers that, you know, make you want to jump around and punch the air. But, I don't know, maybe, you know, it's not really my bag, I'll be honest with you. But I'm not denying the fact it's well played, well produced. Who is the producer on here? Bruce Fairburn, the usual guy, usual suspects. It's well played, it's well produced, and overall, you know, I'll keep it. I'll give it house room, and I will drop tracks on the various radio shows at some point. But the main reason I'm keeping this is that cover. Hey, one last go. Hey, and again. Yeah, 1998. If you're a Kiss fan, you'll love it. You know, Psycho Circus by Kiss. Not bad. Okay, we'll have a complete change of gear next. Here we go, 1975, Kingfish by Kingfish. There's the front. There is the back. No inner sleeve or anything, just going to show you. There we are, United Artists. Now, Kingfish are an interesting band, to say the least. Interesting history. All the members started out as in various kind of small-time Californian West Coast hippie rock bands, along with bands like the Grateful Dead and Mother Earth and that lot. Grateful Dead, thought, you know, kind of were the first ones to break really big, along with maybe Just an Airplane. Got to the point, about 1972, 73, the old spin-off project things started to happen, and Jerry Garcia, get this right, Riders of the Purple Sage, which sort of like Grateful Dead spin-off band. When Jerry went back to the great, decided to kind of go his own separate ways from the Riders, the rest of them got, some of the others carried on with a couple of other mates as Kingfish. Matthew Kelly and Dave Thorburn, you know, a couple of on it. Then back to the local sort of like San Francisco circuit, and then chance meeting with Bob Weir from the Grateful Dead, who wanted to take a little bit of time out. Well, the Dead were taking time out, so Bob Weir teamed up with Kingfish, giving them a second Grateful Dead connection. Recorded this album, then Bob Beer went back to the Grateful Dead and Kingfish carried on right through until the early 1980s. Did a few albums after this. This is the only one I possess, and I quite like it. It's very, very typical US hippie West Coast rock. It's got all that kind of slightly psychedelic but kind of you know, Americana sort of country rock influences on it. Maybe got hints of kind of soul in here as well. Yeah, it's a sweet little album. Highlights on here called Goodbye Your Honour. The opening cut, Lazy Lightning's a lovely little Bob Weir pen song. Jump for Joy, the closer, So actually it's sort of like the, not the closer, because that's a little throwaway acoustic number, but you've got Hypnotise on here. Lovely bit of West Coast psychedelia. Sweet album. You know, I recommend this if you're into bands like the Grateful Dead, Jefferson Airplane, all that kind of West Coast sort of hippie rock stuff. Worthy addition to that canon. I can't say for what happened for the band after this album, because this is the only album I've ever heard by them, but I quite like this, and I think hippies everywhere should, and I really do like that album cover. Cover painting, Philip Garris. So whoever Philip Garris is, sweet picture, man, sweet picture. Yeah, Kingfish, 1975, eponymous debut album. Okay, next up we've got something new. Something so new, this isn't actually going to be available to the general public until September. However, owing to my DJ status and the fact that the drummer's an old mate of mine, I've got a very advanced copy and permission to give an exclusive wave to you. So here we go. This is, those of you that remember your kind of sort of like Britpop and UK indie from the 80s and 90s may remember this lot. Here we go. This is the brand new album by Bristol band Airbus. Not out until September, but like I said, owing to contacts, I have permission to give you a very, very advanced warning. There's the front. Hasn't got it doesn't come with a booklet or anything. I don't know whether the originals or whether the proper pressings will. This is a promo test press. There's the inside with the disc. There's Airbus there, and it came with this promo sheet. There we go. Drink it in and enjoy. Now, Airbus were Bristol's answer to Britpop. Came through on the back of the Britpop scene. Recorded a couple of albums. Were quite sort of festival favourites. They did the Ashton Court Festival, they did Glastonbury, toured the States, toured Europe, went out to Japan. Very, very good live band. I saw them quite a few times back in the day, and always a very, very entertaining outfit. Broke up at sort of around about 1995. Members went on to their separate ways, including Chris Felder, who's cropped up quite. That's my contact with the band. Who cropped up a few times on here. He did a kind of metal parody band called Ye Gods. Now plays in Little Villains with, again, a former Airbus guitarist, and Little Villains and in the Little Villains he replaced the late great Filthy Animal Taylor. So you know, guys are no slouch behind the kit. Nice bloke as well. But anyway, Airbus reformed a few years ago for a couple of one-off gigs, and they had some various bits and pieces of unfinished business to do. One of which was this album, You. Originally started recording this in 1994 and 1995. Then it got kind of sidetracked, laid aside, band broke up. Yeah, these things go. And when they reformed, One of them found the master tapes in a trunk in an attic. They were baked, they were brittle, they needed to be salvaged. So they were kind of packed off to a couple of experts who managed to kind of save the tapes and get the music off them. And then because the band are based between the US and the UK, airmail packages, flip tapes and MP sort of sample waveforms backwards and forwards, the album was finished. And so Airbus's third album is coming out in September. And this is a corker. Britpop and that whole British indie scene at the time was something I was kind of on the fringes of back then, working with a couple of Bristol promoters, and so therefore I got exposed to kind of bands like Jane and Spaced. Built up quite a liking for Oasis and Pulp. Never did get on with not Oasis and Pulp, Blur and Pulp, sorry. Never did get on with Oasis. And other bands on that scene that I quite liked, Ocean Colour Scene, Cooler Shaker, etc. Supergrass, etc. The music was not bad. Some of it was overhyped, but overall, especially looking back at it now, I haven't got my heavy metal street cred to think of, just the general DJ street cred. I'm beginning to appreciate a lot of that stuff more. And I can see where Airbus were coming from. They were always one of my favourite bands around at that time, live, although I never actually owned any physical product by them. And this album is a corker. If this album had come out mid-90s, this album would have been one of these, along with kind of things like Modern Life is Rubbish and Disco 2000, whatever the Pulp album is, one of the classics. This sums up all the good things about Britpop and British indie from that period. It's got the drive and rock and roll guts of Oasis, but fortunately it's shorn of the overblown ego or the annoying nasal whinge of Mr. Gallagher. It's got the kind of, in places it's got the hippie psychedelic influences of Cooler Shaker. It's got the kind of street cred of the Ocean Colour scene. It's got the inventiveness of some of Blur's stuff, and it's got a big kind of hat tip to some of the Bristol punk bands that went before it, bands like, or indie punk bands like the Sears and Herb Garden, running through this. This is just a great album. I've only had chance to give it 2 playthroughs so far, because it only arrived a couple of days ago. I played it through twice in its entirety and picked a couple of tracks out for radio play this weekend. But overall, I am very, very impressed. So Airbus are now very much a reformed ongoing thing, and once this lockdown fiasco is over, there will be live Airbus gigs to go and see. And I, for one, am going to find the one in Bristol, and I'm going to be in there in the front row, enjoy myself to the max. But yeah, definitely check out Airbus's back catalogue. They're a great, highly underrated band. When this comes out in September, add it to your collection. You will love it. Yeah, Airbus U out in September on Spira Records. Okay, next up, I'm going to speed up a bit because I took a bit too long eulogizing over that one, but it was worth it. Okay, next up we'll have this one. This is Kaizoku Ban by Accept from 1985. There's the front. Excuse me a minute. There's the back. Yeah. Well, Kaizoku Ban apparently means bootleg or rare material, something like that in Japanese. Anyway, except I don't think there's any inner sleeve on here, is there? No. But in case you know, some people like this kind of thing, so there we go. Portrait records. Except one of the great German metal bands, been going in one format or another since the late 60s. Changed their name, eventually got the success they deserved, late 70s, early 80s, and you know, albums like Balls to the Wall, Metal Heart, etc. Russian Roulette's another one. Anyway, this was their first live album. It's a mini album, only 6-tracker, recorded at the recorded in Nagoya in Japan. It says what you hear is recorded in one take, dedicated to the wildest fans in the world. No re-recording or overdubs, and it sounds it. It's rough around the edges, but on the other hand, I saw Accept a few times back in the 80s. It is an absolute diamond of a live album. Caps up what the band were like, you know. This is the Udo Dirk Schneider days. Quick tip out, look out for Udo Dirk Schneider's new band, Udo and the Old Gang, featuring some former Accept members. Their EP's pretty good. Can't review it because I haven't got a physical copy at the moment, but it's out now. Have a look for it. But anyway, yeah, only 6 tracks. Metal Heart, Screaming for a Love Bite, Up for the Limit, Head Over Heels, Love Child, and Living for Tonight. Absolute 6 storming cuts of Japanese fueled metal frenzy. No longer available in this format, although the tracks have been broken up and put as bonus cuts on various Accept live albums. So if you want the album as it was originally intended, you're going to have to go and find vinyl. Was also reissued as live in Japan back in the 90s, but this is the original pressing. So yeah, not much else to say about this. Just a cracking little live mini album. Except Kaizoku Ban, 1995, 85. Sorry. Okay, more CD time, and we'll have this one. This is Killer Sands and Beating Hearts by Tonota 80. There's the front. There is the back. There is the gatefold. There is a disc. And if I pop this out, come on. Here we go. Booklet. Was it, or is it a fold-out thing? No, it is a booklet. Typical kind of indie kind of alternative production or layout of the booklet. It's lyrics with some arty photographs. And some credits there at the back. Now, Tonota 80 are a band out. So this came out in 2017, Engineer Records. Oh, Moving Change Records. Sorry. This lot came out 2017, and they're kind of on that kind of gap between like pop punk. They are a bit emo, but it's got that kind of gap between pop punk, alt rock, indie rock, that kind of grey area where all the Venn diagrams of those particular subgenres all mix. Right in the middle of that lot, you'll find Tonota 80, and they're a pretty good band. They They've got a guy called David Blumenfield on guitars and vocals, John Edwards on drums and vocals, and you got Richard Pronger. Great name. What's your name? My name's Richard Pronger. Girls, hey, hey, hey. Yeah. Oh, sorry, mate. If you ever see this, I think your name's really cool. Yeah, he's on bass. I say they're out the English county of Kent, and they're just a great little band. Kind of highlights on here include During the War, You've Got an Answer for Everything, Beetle in a Jar is a cracking track, Ugly Suit, you know, good stuff. It's got that kind of it's a bit teen angsty, but on the other hand it's got some quite good kind of street credibility, and it can rock it up from time to time. Band is still going. Well, I was looking on their Facebook page recently, and they were saying that they're looking forward to coming out of lockdown and getting back on the road again. Ain't we all? Yeah, that extension of lockdown in the UK blown 2 Alien Stash King gigs out the water, but hey, gives us a chance to press on with the new album, doesn't it? But anyway, yeah. Well worth checking out, this band, and like I said, when the band are on the road, I've never seen these guys live, so if they ever come anywhere near Bristol, I will be there. And you know, in the meantime, like all this stuff, like I said, I can't play needle drops or anything because of risk of copyright strikes, etc., YouTube algorithms, etc. But most of these bands, there is material available. Should you just use Google, other search engines are available. You should be able to find a couple of snippets to play. So yeah, Tonota 80, Killer Sands and Beating Hearts. Okay, another CD next, and another Bristol band. This is Disgrace by Karmadeva from 1980. Well, actually, I think these were Bath rather than Bristol. Next city down the road. I apologise to Bathonians for getting confused. There's the front. There is the back with the band. Open this up. That is what's behind the disc. There is the disc. There is that is the booklet. Lyrics and photographs. Lyrics and photos. Lyrics and photos, and then the album credits. Now, Karmadeva were again another band that kind of would involve, if you're going to do a Venn diagram, will kind of drop into several kind of gaps. They're kind of alt rock band, but they got a bit of a kind of gothic sensibility. But on the other hand, they had a kind of bit of the Pretenders vibe about them, and I like the Pretenders, so sounding a bit Pretendersy is nothing wrong in my book. 3-piece in the studio with a session. I can't remember who the. Yeah, 3-piece in the studio. Although I think when I saw them, they were actually a 4-piece. I don't know, because the band broke up a few years after this album came out, and I don't know whatever happened to them after that. Well, I know what happened to one of them, which I'll come to in a minute. As for the rest of them, I don't know. Sorry. Yeah. These guys were a really good band. Saw them live. I think actually Alien stashed in one of our early days. We played with them once, and then became a bit of a fan and saw them a few times beyond that. Like I said, kind of indie rock, heavy rock, sort of punk pop with a bit of a gothic twist. Just very, very entertaining band. The star of the show was JJ Staness, superb vocalist, great guitarist, and absolute diamond of a front woman. She had the Chrissy Hines stroke Debbie Harry vibe going, that kind of punk attitude with some superb talent to back it up. At the time, her hubby played bass, and the guy called Gav Loynes on drums. Now, I don't know what happened, but JJ changed the name, and the band broke up at the same time, so I wondered whether there was domestic hassle. I don't know, don't want to go there. I'm not one of these people that kind of invest vast amounts of credibility in the band's background stories, unless it's a story like The Tale Beyond Rumours by Fleetwood Mac, in which case it explains a lot about that album. But anyway, leaving their internal sides apart, this is again a great record. The cuts on here like the opener, Feed Your Soul, Lilac Park, Dark Days, Longing, the title cut, Disgrace, all sweet songs. The lyrics are kind of quite deep and meaningful. The music is quite engaging and danceable in places. Just makes for a very entertaining record. Availability, don't know. Like I said, the band ceased to exist around about 2010, 2011. Beyond that, I couldn't tell you anything about it. But I do know that Jane is still active as a solo artist and has a couple of albums out as well. But as the rest of them, Lord knows. But anyway, if you like that kind of stuff, especially if you're into bands like the Pretenders, very, very worthwhile checking this out and trying to give it a listen. Yeah, 2008, Disgrace by Karmadeva. Okay, next up we'll have a bit more thrash metal. Here we go. This is Unveiling the Wicked by Exciter from... I'll let you know the release date in a minute. Anyway, there's the front. There is the back. Whip this out. Lyrics, etc. The obligatory thrash metal photo montage. There's the disc. You can tell these guys are serious. They don't call it side A and side B. They call it side heavy and side metal. And this one has got an inlay run out track list thing on it. It says on this side, it says what I'm looking for is, and on the other side it says no tunnels. Probably made, or something like that, probably made sense at the time. I never got a release date for it. 1986. Yeah. Exciter. They were kind of Canadian, sort of like Motorheady type band that kind of got swept up in the whole thrash thing and found themselves kind of with a bit of a thrash label on it. Not undeservedly so, because these guys could thrash, but on the other hand they did have a bit of the old power metal thing going. This album is pretty good, pretty intense, pretty typical for the time. Highlights in this include the kind of Teen Rebellion anthem, I Hate School Rules, Living Evil's a great track. Live Fast, Die Young, an absolute bright neck snapper of a mosh pit anthem. Die in the Night, Shout It Out, all tracks that just come at you. These guys take no prisoners. If you like bands like Anvil and that kind of malarkey, you know where Exciter are coming from. Pretty good, pretty entertaining. And a band that kind of, along with like bands like another band like another band who like Anvil are still plodding on doing their thing. I mean, Anvil had that success with the movie and everyone went, oh, Anvil, they're great, and started to become massive Anvil fans. But, you know, it does make me a bit angry because there are bands like Exciter that are doing exactly the same, that haven't had some multi-millionaire throwing a movie at them, that still deserve just as much praise and support. So, go out there, check out some Exciter. Just a great band, very, very fun, and just worth, if you're a metalhead, worth adding to your collection. Yeah, this one is in particular, it's their 4th album. I haven't got any of the others, unfortunately, but it's something I intend to rectify, because I dragged this out, played it, and went, yeah, I've got to get some more of this. So yeah, Exciter, Unveiling the Wicked, 1986. Corking! Now, something else that's new to me, new to the collection anyway, and a band that I kind of previously, well, I'll explain it to you. It's this. This is Love Is Here, the debut album by Starsailor. There is the front. There is the back. Bit more indie rock, this. Year 2000 this came out. There is a disc. Very indie arty kind of I left my sweet skull beneath the bedclothes, I'm not coming down, walls have ears but no one hears when no one's around. Oh, the teen indie angst breaks my... No, it don't. There's the pictures. Photograph for anyone that wants to that really wants to see the back of Starsailor, and album credits. Now, okay, I know I josh, but Starsailor are one of these bands that I'm kind of attempting to rediscover or give another chance at. They were a British kind of indie rock band, very much post-Britpop. There was a little movement called what do they call it, piano indie or piano rock, and it was a load of basically, let's ditch the guitars and get a piano player in, man, and we can be angsty around a piano rather than angsty around an acoustic guitar. And Starsailor had a couple of singles in the charts that bored me pissy. They made Keane sound like thrash metal, and if you ever heard Keane, you know where I'm coming from. Band that I never paid any attention to whatsoever. They did 3 albums and broke up, and I didn't bat an eyelid. Then a couple of years ago they reformed, and they sent me a couple of well, their record label sent me a couple of sample tracks, singles that they had just released of the Reformation band. Gave them a listen, and they were a lot more rocky than I remembered. They had bits, they were almost kind of going into prog rock territory in places. Made me kind of pricking my ears up, and I think, well, maybe I should go and check out, you know, because I only really heard the naff singles. I'll go and check out some of the other, you know, album tracks or something. Never got around to it. Then the other day, St Peter's Hospice charity shop in Bristol, saw this for 50p. So I thought, why not? I'll grab it, I'll give it a go. And I'm not going to say I love it. It is very, very typical kind of post-Britpop, very angsty indie student rock. But this album at least, which was the one before they had their big breakthrough, this was their first album, isn't as bad as I thought it would be. Some of the songwriting can be quite engaging. You know, poor misguided fool, tie my hand, she just wept, talk her down. The songwriting isn't bad. Yes, it can be very kind of oh woe is me in places. It can be quite down and downbeat, but it's not as bad as a band like, say, like the Verve did, which was the kind of, you know, oh god, you know, I like the Verve, but some of their, I can't listen to more than 2 tracks by them back to back without wanting to slip your wrists. It's not quite that bad, although it's got hints of it. Yeah, the performance, the musicianship's quite good and the production's quite good as well. So if you do like a bit of kind of modern day Leonard Cohen, you know, this is worth a listen. And like I said, it's not without its moments. Don't know whether I'm going to get their other albums or not yet. Well, if they're 50p in a charity shop, I might. But until then, I'll be quite happy to have their quite good, more recent singles and this interesting one in the collection. Yeah, 2000 Starsailor. Love is here. Okay, next up, bit of prog for you. Fact and Fiction by Twelfth Night, 1982. There's the front. There is the back. Open this up. Big gatefold, lyrics, cartoons. Yeah, cartoon work done by the late great Jeff Mann, the vocalist and lyricist. And I'll whip this out. And there's the centre. Self-released on the band's own label. Black side, white side there. 12th Night. One of those, I hate the term neo-prog. It sounds so up its own backside. But prog rock revival band. Came out early 1980s and on with the same scene that gave us Pendragon, Marillion, Palace, yeah, quite a few bands, It Bites, etc. And 12th Night were always one of the bands that I really did like off that scene. There's something about 12th Night that, especially the Jeff Mann period stuff, that very few bands had. I mean, Palace had it to an extent, Marillion had it lots, but there's a quirky kind of uniqueness to their sound, a very, very engaging front man with a vision of what the band should be doing and where they should be going, and the ability to write some truly epic material. This is a great record. They self-released. They did get signed up to, was it Music for Nations, for a couple of other albums, and then had a rather disastrous fling with EMI, during which time Jeff Mann left to become a Church of England vicar, and carried on doing solo stuff, but he was ordained into the clergy and became a man of God rather than a man of rock. But this album here, which I don't think I find the 12th Night's early back catalogue quite confusing. There's cassette albums and demos and EPs, and you know, they've all been reissued and repackaged at various times, and so exactly where this fits into the canon, I don't know. If any 12th Night fans out there want to fill me in on the comments, do the hand darts to the missus, down there on YouTube, over there on Facebook, please do let me know, because I'm quite interested. But I got this album is probably my favourite of the 12th Night albums. From the opening cut, We Are Sane, which is about 10 minutes of just kind of it talks about work ethics and business practices and the sanity of work, etc. Through to the closing song, Love Song, which is Jeff Mann being a bit of a god botherer, became a vicar lately. It's kind of talks about love, but it also talks about Christianity, and you know, maybe not my bag lyrically, but it's just a beautiful little song. Other highlights: Fact and Fiction, deals with a song about Cold War paranoia. The Poet Sniffs a Flower, which is a Brian Devoyle, not Brian Devoyle, what's his name? Andy Rebel. So I'm getting the drum and the guitarist mixed up. Lovely little acoustic guitar piece. Yeah, just on Creep Show, of course, as well, which is an absolute anthem. Yeah, it goes with that banishing robots, etc. I don't know, sometimes Chris Mann was a lyricist that kind of wrote deep and quite stuff you have to kind of sit there and work to interpret at times. But yeah, but overall, this is a great album, one of the best of that kind of early 80s British prog albums. Definitely as good as anything Marillion or Palace or Pendragon ever did. And if you've not encountered 12th Night and you fancy a bit of prog, I think this is still available digitally and CD. Well worth checking out. Or if you want to. And apparently this original vinyl's worth 30-40 quid now. Again, it was something I brought in a record shop for, I think I got it out of a bargain rack. But hey, the music's what counts, not the value. Yeah, 12th Night, Facts and Fiction, 1982. Okay, and another one that's, well, this album's not new to the collection, but it's new to me on CD. I've had this on vinyl, and again, charity shop find the other week, 50p, and I thought I'll grab it up. Because, why not? Save me original vinyl copy, and, 50p to a good cause. This is 1991, sorry. For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge by Van Halen, one of the Sammy Hagar era albums. I'll keep this fairly quick, but pop it open. There's the back. There's the disc. Slide out the booklet. There's a better view of the front. Photos and a track listing. More photos. More photos. More photos. Credits and more photos, no lyrics. And yeah, not a vast amount to say about this one really. Those of you, just in case you don't know, David Lee Roth, the original Van Halen vocalist, bailed mid-80s. Sammy Hagar, who had previously been with Montrose, and also known as the Red Rocker, had a successful solo career, was roped in, did a few albums with them. Overall, the Sammy Hagar albums are disappointing. And I'm not knocking Sammy Hagar for this, because I love some of his solo work. And I love his work with Montrose, but he just didn't really work with Van Halen for me. This album is probably the closest they did to an album that I like with Sammy Hagar. It's not perfect by any means, but they kind of strip the music back to a kind of very basic, kind of almost like music's almost like heading back to Van Halen's first album. The two before this, which was 90125 and OU812, very MTV power ballad period stuff. Eddie Van Halen takes a back seat and plays keyboards most of the time, making for some disappointing records. This one, he's picked his guitar up, he's learning to rock and roll again. They're playing for Sammy Hagar's, they're playing to Sammy Hagar's voice rather than try and make him do things he hasn't done. He feels, and he sounds far more comfortable on this record than he did anything else that he did with them. Highlights on here: Spanked, they're a bit of a track for the S&M community. The opening cut, Pound Cake, a song about home cooking and good old down home American girls. Yeehaw. In and Out, Man on a Mission, Top of the World. Not classic Van Halen stuff, but worth a listen and not bad. So yeah, 1991, Van Halen for Unlawful Carnal Knowledge. Listen before you buy, but it's not as bad as the other Hagar era stuff. Well, I said again, no disrespect to Sammy Hagar. I love his solo work. I really liked him with Montrose. Just is not really my bag for Van Halen. Bring back Dave Lee Roth. Anyway, final vinyl. Here we go. 1975, Uriah Heep, Return to Fantasy. I think it's 75. Let's have a check. 1975, Bronze Records, yes. Return to Fantasy, Uriah Heep. There's the front. There's the back, which I think is identical. It is identical. Because then it opens up like that, doesn't it? Yeah. There's the inner sleeve. The classic Van Halen, the classic Uriah Heep lineup, but with John Wetton on bass. Yep, but I keep saying, you couldn't be in a British heavy or hard or prog rock band back in the 1970s without having John Wetton playing on at least one of your albums. It was law. Yeah, Harold Wilson's government passed it in 1970 when John Wetton left King Crimson. He really wanted John Wetton to carry on, personal friends and that, you know. So he passed the law. It's called the First Prog Rock Amendment Act of 1971. Yeah. Passed both houses of Parliament without any opposition. Anyway, lyrics. And please don't take what I just said that seriously. Just that John Wetton turns up everywhere. Yeah, one of my more favourite type, if that makes sense, Uriah Heep albums, this one. I've had this album for a long time, lived with it a long time, got to know it really well. One of the first Uriah Heep albums I brought when I first discovered Uriah Heep. I think Fallen Angel was my first one, and then I think this came along second or third. And I love it. It's just great. The opening cut, Return to Fantasy, is everything a Uriah Heep song should be. It's heavy, it's fast, but it's quite progressive, it's overblown, it's got stacked harmony vocals, it's got a fantastic Mick Botts guitar solo, Ken Hensley running amok on the keyboards, just making for a superb track. Other highlights on here: Shady Lady, Your Turn to Remember, The Showdown, A Year or a Day. All damn fine songs from a band that are very, very much on form. And yeah, one of the classic Heep albums in my opinion. I won't say everything Uriah Heep have done have been brilliant. They've done some real turkeys like Conquest, but overall Uriah Heep are a great band with a fine tradition of great music, and this is one of them. Yeah, 1975, Uriah Heep, Return to Fantasy. Highly recommended. Okay, so that's it for this week. I want to say once again a big thanks for listening. Your feedback is always appreciated. Comments are down there on YouTube, over there on Facebook. You know, like to sort of like debate and talk to people about what I've looked at and your opinions or recommendations of bands I should check out. Radio show links are down there if you want to check them out, and If you haven't done before, give us a like and maybe subscribe so you know when the next one's coming out. It also helps kind of raise the profile of the channel. Not after money, just after kind of spreading the love of music. So until next week, peeps, I love every single last ones of you, and I'm out of here. Bye.